Scarlett Graham gifted her male secretary a luxury watch worth $1 million. The secretary posted it on Instagram to show off. Hard work pays off. A persistent heart never gets let down. I'll keep going. My queen. Her executive assistant forwarded the post to me. I sent it straight to Scarlett. $1 million's pocket change to you. Ms. Graham. What counts as real money? Then. Over 10 million. I guess. Transfer 20 million to me in 1 minute. Noted as a voluntary gift. Scarlett texted back, don't be ridiculous. Honey. A minute later. She received a video from me. In the footage. I smashed the antique vase her first love had given her. It was worth exactly 20 million. Scarlett called me immediately. Do you have any idea how much that vase cost? What do you want from me? Scarlett. Was my text not clear enough? I glanced at my watch. You've got 34 seconds left. I'm standing in front of that antique painting in your bedroom right now. You know what happens next. She hung up instantly. 20 seconds later. 20 million landed in my bank account. I sent her a photo of her favorite antique painting torn to shreds on the floor. The vase was a warning. The painting is your punishment. You're married. Scarlett. Don't forget that. This time. She didn't call back. Not even a text. I knew she was furious. But I didn't care. Marriages between old money families are always rooted in mutual benefit. Love is a lucky bonus. If it happens at all. Most of the time. It doesn't. Scarlett and I fell somewhere in the middle. We didn't dislike each other when we first met. But we didn't like each other either. That set the tone for everything that followed. There was no emotional foundation to our marriage at the start. We went through the grand wedding ceremony. Then slept in separate bedrooms on our wedding night. We even wished each other good night before turning in. It was nearly 6 months before we slept together. And even then, we hid behind alcohol to get through it. The Graham family was old money aristocracy. Raised on tradition and scholarly pedigree. They did everything by the book. Which was why Scarlett had that cold exterior hiding a warm core. The Thorne family came from the rough underbelly of society. My dad built our empire with his fists. Bricks. And blades. We didn't have the Graham stuffy roles. We played rough. Straight. And unapologetic. That's why I never bought into love at first sight. Scarlett and I. Ours was love that grew with intimacy, plain and simple. I loved Scarlett. And she loved me. But we were both pragmatic people. Love wasn't the first thing on either of our lists. But it wasn't far down either. This pretty boy had clearly crossed a line. His smug, unbridled showing off grated on every nerve I had. I don't let anyone covet what's mine. Not even a second look. But I also knew the harder you push something down, the harder it fights to grow back. Case in point, Scarlett Graham. That night? She texted me. Business function tonight. I won't be home for dinner. I didn't reply. I just went back to what I was doing. At 8 o'clock. My friend Leo Wade sent me a photo. It was taken at some corporate dinner. Scarlett was sitting right next to a clean-cut pretty boy. The guy was clearly dolled up. His hair was so slick and shiny it looked like a calf had licked it. Handsome. Sunny. Exactly the type Scarlett liked to watch on short-form videos. What's going on? Your wife brought a boy toy to the dinner. You got trouble at home. At the same time. The EA sent me a message too. The secretary had posted another Instagram update. Attending a high-end gala. One step closer to the life I want. Thanks to the great mentor by my side. The photo was a selfie of him. Smiling calmly but with that hungry, determined glint in his eye. That $1 million watch on his wrist blared out like a neon sign. Scarlett was in the background. Letting him use her as a prop. A tiny, almost invisible smile tugged at her lips. But the fondness in her eyes was impossible to miss. I remembered her last female secretary fired on the spot at a business dinner just for texting a colleague about work. Now here she was. Not just tolerating his selfies, but posing in them. Lending her CEO status to boost his ego. She knew full well my friends were at that table. She was doing this on purpose. Throwing it in my face, payback for me smashing her vase and tearing up her painting over that stupid watch. She knew I'd find out about the other man. She knew his Instagram would get back to me. And she did it anyway. Letting him overstep every boundary just to get back at me. Too bad for her. When it came to revenge, the entire Graham family put together couldn't hold a candle to me. I texted her, "You gonna explain who that is sitting next to you?" 5 minutes passed. No reply. I texted Leo, "Is my wife looking at her phone?" He texted back instantly, "She saw it. But she's not replying. You calling her out?" I sent Scarlett another text, "Answer me. I know you saw it." Still nothing. Radio silence. Last chance. "If I don't hear from you in 10 seconds, you'll regret it." 10 seconds later. I sent her a photo. She replied instantly. "Kale Thorne. What the hell do you think you're doing?" At the same time, Leo texted me. "Holy shit. What did you send her?" She went pale as a ghost. I've never seen her look like that. I sent him a smirking emoji. "Enjoy the show." The photo I'd sent was of a faded pink envelope. Yellowed with age, clearly something she'd kept for years. It was a love letter from her high school first love. The boy who'd pushed her out of the way of an oncoming dump truck, taking the hit himself and dying instantly. That letter was the last thing he'd ever given her. She valued it more than her own life. It hit me then her new secretary bore a faint resemblance to that dead first love. So the great CEO Graham was playing the doppelganger replacement game. He'd hired this guy as a stand-in for her lost love. When I didn't reply, she texted again. Frantic. "Don't touch it." Panic dripped off every word. She really was terrified of losing that letter. "Call me, Scarlett." This time she obeyed. The phone rang right away. Her voice was tight and low. "Stop messing around. Can't we talk about this when I get home?" "Put it on speaker." "What are you doing?" I said put it on speaker. She did as she was told. "Sorry to interrupt everyone, but I heard our CEO Graham brought a new +1 to the dinner tonight. I just had to call and confirm." Scarlett's voice was tight with nerves. "Honey, it's not what you think. He's just my secretary. There's nothing going on." "Really? What CEO gives their secretary $1 million watch?" "I don't care what your relationship is. I want you to pick up that plate of food in front of you right now and dump it all over his face. You can say no, but you'll deal with the consequences." That night, Caleb Shaw ran out of that dinner covered head to toe in spicy beef tripe chili stew. Leo blew up my phone all night long. "Dude, that was legendary. I owe you dinner for that show." "Holy crap." She didn't hold back. That stew was fresh off the stove. Still steaming. "Wait. Is this guy part of some couple's kink you two have going on? This is gonna be all over town tomorrow. I'd be mortified if I were him. Come on, man. Teach me how you keep your wife in line like that." I replied casually, "Easy. You stop caring about her, and you'll have all the power." Leo's enthusiasm died instantly. "Nah. Forget it. I could never do that." Of course he couldn't. He and his wife were childhood sweethearts. Making out since middle school. Still called each other cutesy nicknames in public after all these years. Annoyed the hell out of everyone around them. "Hey. Your wife looked miserable all night. She gonna start a fight when she gets home." "Fight? Let her try." He sent back a damn and went quiet. Half an hour later, Scarlett stormed through the front door. She burst into the bedroom. Ripped the covers off me. And her eyes blazed. "Where is it?" I just lay there with my hands behind my head, staring right back at her. Not a word. "Kale Thorne. Where is my letter?" I kept staring. Kept my mouth shut. After about a minute of standoff, she caved and sank onto the bed. Defeated. "I did what you wanted. I humiliated myself in front of everyone tonight. I'm lucky he didn't press charges. What more do you want from me? Did I make you humiliate yourself? Don't you think you owe me an explanation?" An awkward silence hung in the air. Finally, she spoke. "He's just a kid fresh out of college. There's nothing between us. How many times do I have to say it before you believe me?" "Scarlett, belief isn't about what you say. It's about what you do. $1 million is pocket change to you. But most families work their whole lives and never make that much. Don't act like you don't know that. You gave $1 million watch to another man like it was nothing. What made you think I wouldn't care?" I felt bad because he was beating himself up over a mistake at work. I just wanted to cheer him up. So I gave him the watch. I swear. There's nothing there. You gave him a lifetime's worth of money on a whim. Do you have any idea what kind of ideas that puts in a young guy's head? $1 million is nothing to you. But to a guy just starting out, it's life-changing. Don't tell me you didn't know that. If you hadn't encouraged him, Would he have posted that on Instagram? He knew I'd see it. You brought him to that dinner. Took the seat that should be mine. What do you think people say? What did you think I'd think? Did you even consider that? He took selfies at the table. And you didn't stop him, you posed for them. Did you stop to think I'd humiliate you right back? You fired your last secretary over a tiny mistake. Why is this one different? Your indulgence gave him the guts to defy me. Your special treatment made him think he had a shot. I picked apart her secret. One word at a time. I looked at his resume. He's not qualified to be your secretary. You hired him because he looks like the boy who saved your life. Your first love. You're nostalgic. You're using this stand-in to fill a void. Trying to relive the past with a dead boy. Am I right? Scarlett went silent. The air in the room turned thick and heavy. Look at me. Scarlett. She lifted her head and met my gaze. I cupped her face and kissed her hard. I love you. Now tell me you love me. Her voice broke. I do. I pulled the faded envelope from the drawer beside me. I wasn't there for your past. But I don't want to miss your future. I set the envelope gently in her palm. I love you. So I won't touch the things that matter most to you. But don't make me hate you. Okay. A flush crept up Scarlett's cheeks. She flipped me onto my back and bit down on my lip like a wild thing. She wrapped her arms tight around my neck. I promise. It'll never happen again. Caleb Shaw became the office joke overnight. Normally. All client meetings and business events were scheduled through the admin department on rotation. Whoever was on shift accompanied Scarlett and handled the legwork. But ever since Scarlett promoted Caleb to secretary out of nowhere, the rotation stopped. He got every single spot. Caleb didn't show up to work the next day. When the EA put the disciplinary notice on Scarlett's desk, she signed it without hesitation. That's when the whole office knew the pretty boy's 15 minutes were up. Everyone at that company was sharp. Reading the room was basic survival. The EA transferred him out of the admin department to do odd jobs in reception. He wasn't even allowed to show his face at the front desk when Scarlett was in the building. His pay got cut along with his title. The plummeting salary and status had the whole office whispering about what had gone down. I was the one who usually accompanied Scarlett to business banquets as her husband. The second the new secretary started taking my place, rumors spread like wildfire. Everyone knew the boss's husband was fiercely vindictive. But no one expected me to go that far to humiliate the guy so thoroughly. Make the CEO dump a whole plate of stew on his head in front of everyone. Before that night, some people even thought the pretty boy might end up as the CEO's new man. Afterward, all those rumors vanished into thin air. Now there was only one takeaway around the office. Anyone who tried to take the husband's place would end up ruined. Caleb became everyone's punching bag. People would talk about the stew incident right in front of him. Loud enough for him to hear. I don't let grudges go. If you go after what's mine, you pay the price. So at my direction, the EA submitted a termination request to HR. The HR manager didn't dare push back. He signed off immediately, drew up the papers, and kicked Caleb to the curb. But I'd underestimated how far Caleb would go. I never thought Scarlett would talk to him about her first love. She barely ever spoke about that part of her past with me. When Caleb came in to pack up his things the next day, he dressed up in slim-fit pants and bright, childish sneakers so annoyingly sunny it made my stomach turn. He ran into Scarlett in the elevator, holding his box of stuff. Before she could say a word, that kick puppy look of his broke right through her defenses. Back in the office, Caleb stood silently behind Scarlett, smirking while she tore into the EA. I pay your salary. And you use the authority I gave you to go after my people. Are you out of your mind? The EA stood her ground. Ms. Graham. Who exactly are your people? Scarlett realized she'd misspoken and didn't want to dig in deeper. You're fired. Don't come back tomorrow. Pack your things and get out. Caleb will be taking over your position. That night, Scarlett blew up at me for the first time. What right did you have to fire him? Over some stupid jealousy. What are you so afraid of? Are you mad he's younger than you? Don't think being my husband gives you free rein to mess with my company. This petty vendetta of yours has crossed a line. She grabbed a nearby vase and hurled it at my feet. Then turned and stormed out. Cale Thorne. You've really disappointed me. The front door slammed shut behind her, the boom echoing her rage. I watched her leave, expressionless. Then I smiled and picked up a sharp shard of the broken vase from the floor. I gripped the shard and dragged it deep across my forearm. Blood trickled down in a thin line, pooled at my fingertips, and dropped to the floor in dark, blooming splotches. Fine, Scarlett. If you want to play dirty, so do I. At the Graham family estate, I sat with a grim expression, my arm wrapped thick in bandages. Mr. Graham paced the living room, his irritation thick enough to cut. A storm was brewing. Mrs. Graham sat beside me, staring at my bandaged arm with pity and simmering anger. An hour earlier, fresh from the hospital, I'd driven straight to her parents' house and laid it all out. Their precious daughter had turned on me over a secretary who looked like her dead first love. She defended him openly at work, brought him to dinners to humiliate me. And when I fired him, she'd cut my arm and screamed at me. I said it all with a look of quiet heartbreak and disappointment. It only stoked their anger at their daughter higher. Her father called her immediately. I don't care what deadbeat you're hiding with. Get your ass home right now. If you're not here in half an hour, don't ever come back. Her mother fussed over my arm, eyes red-rimmed like she was scared I'd leave. She kept murmuring apologies, promising they'd make Scarlett own up to it, that I wouldn't have to put up with any more of this. I nodded calmly, said nothing, and thought about how to make this even worse. Why waste my advantages and fight fair with some nobody pretty boy? I wasn't that stupid. A good businessman uses every resource he has to win. I was Scarlett's legal husband. I had her parents on my side. Our intertwined business deals. More money than that kid could dream of. Why throw all that away to compete over who's younger? Who looks more like her dead first love? And most importantly, my dad was a stubborn brute who never backed down. Cross him, and he'd destroy you. I just wanted Scarlett to back down. I didn't want to be a widower this young. So I told my dad to stay out of it. Nukes are for deterrence. This is a small fight. You don't need to get involved. If I lose tonight, then there's nothing left for me with the Grahams. Then you can step in. Do whatever you want. I won't stop you. So my dad, all riled up and ready to pounce, stepped back and waited like a caged tiger. Half an hour later, the front door opened. Scarlett walked in, icy with fury. When I saw her, I almost laughed out loud. That idiot woman had actually brought Caleb with her. The second she stepped inside, she felt the tension in the room. Her cold glare faltered a little. Dad, I was in a meeting. What's so important you had to drag me home right now? Her father scoffed. A meeting at this hour? You couldn't have it during the day. You had to schedule it at night. Who were you meeting with? Tell me. I'll check. Scarlett went quiet. She hadn't expected her dad to call her bluff so thoroughly. She hadn't been in a meeting at all. She'd been having dinner with Caleb. His Instagram post had given her away, and I'd already shown it to her parents. In front of a guest. Her father didn't pull any punches. Well, cat got your tongue. Where's that fire you had when you hit your husband? I hit him. Scarlett stared at me in confusion, then finally noticed the thick bandage on my arm. Her face darkened. Cale Thorne. When did I hit you? You're such a liar. Putting on a show for my parents. Defeated look and nodded slowly. Right. You didn't hit me. I cut myself. That did it. Her father slapped her hard across the face. You ungrateful brat. Look at him. You think he'd hurt himself just to frame you. It was a hard slap. Her nose started bleeding immediately. Caleb jumped and quickly pulled out a tissue to dab at her nose. I saw Mrs. Graham's hand clench tight. That intimate little move had pushed her over the edge. Scarlett Graham. What do you think you're doing? Have you no shame? This family has a reputation. At her mother's sharp tone, Caleb froze. He realized too late he'd overstepped, and quickly stepped back, looking meek. Scarlett's face twisted with anger. Cale, have you had enough? Smack. Her father slapped her again. This time, blood poured from both nostrils. Shut your mouth. You do something this shameful and you dare snap at your husband. How did I raise such a selfish, ungrateful child? Her mother turned to Caleb, standing behind her. Why did you bring him here? Do you want Cale to move out so he can move in? Are you telling us you're trading your husband in for a newer model? Caleb looked terrified, waving his hands defensively. No. I'm just Ms. Graham's secretary. Please. Don't get the wrong idea. Scarlett stepped in front of Caleb, ignoring the blood running down her face. Stop talking like that. There's nothing between us. He's just my secretary. I haven't cheated on anyone. Her mother grabbed an ashtray off the table and hurled it at them. You had a candlelit dinner together. Do you think we're blind? Or stupid? The ashtray missed. But Caleb yelped anyway from behind Scarlett. Her mother scoffed. Well, aren't you dramatic? Didn't even hit you and you're already crying out. You just love the attention. Don't you? Caleb went pale. He'd overplayed his hand. He hunched his shoulders and tried to disappear. Dad. Mom. Caleb and I are just boss and employee. I swear I haven't cheated. We're innocent. Don't listen to Kale's lies. She grabbed Caleb's hand. You won't believe your own daughter. But you'll believe a stranger. If you're determined to think the worst. There's nothing I can do about it. With that, she pulled Caleb out the door and slammed it behind them. Over her father's roaring anger. I stood up to leave too. Dad. Mom. If that's how Scarlett feels. I don't think there's any point in us staying married. There's nothing left to say. I'm filing for divorce. The next morning, the EA walked into the office and ran straight into Caleb. Looking smug as ever. He sneered at his former boss. Hey. You got fired. What are you doing here? Cross Ms. Graham. And she doesn't give second chances. The second he finished speaking, his face fell and he snapped to attention. Good morning. Sir. I stood over him. Looking down. She's my personal representative now. Executive Vice President of Thorn Group. A lowly secretary like you doesn't get to talk to her like that. Tell Scarlett to meet me in the conference room in 15 minutes. Caleb's tone was sharp. Sir. Ms. Graham has a meeting soon. I don't think she has time for you. Yeah. Then tell her I'm here to talk divorce. If she's not there in 15 minutes, I'll burn her office to the ground. In front of the whole office. I clapped Caleb on the shoulder. Good luck. My spot's all yours soon enough. Whether you end up in the CEO's bed. That's up to you. 10 minutes later. Scarlett stormed into the conference room. Ice cold. By then, I'd already had HR fire the 2 employees who'd been openly sucking up to Caleb. I wanted everyone to know. Cross Scarlett's EA. And you get a better job at Thorn Group. Cross me. You pack your bags and get lost. Cale Thorn. Showing up here in the middle of the workday. What do you want? I said nothing. The EA set a divorce agreement down in front of her. Ms. Graham. Please review the terms and sign at the bottom. Scarlett stared at the papers. Anger flashing in her eyes. What is this? Cale. I tapped the page. Divorce. You can read. Can't you? The property division is all laid out. As for the companies, our joint projects won't be affected. But I'm taking an extra 5% of the year-end dividends. Our son's coming with me. I can't have him raised by a mother who chases other men. It'd be an embarrassment. You're divorcing me over Caleb. Why does he get to go with you? He's my son. I gave birth to him. I waved a hand dismissively. Please. He's been living with his grandparents. Raised by nannies. Since he was born. Have you ever spent a single full day with him? Scarlett. I made myself clear before. That was the first and last warning. If you care that much about your pretty boy, I'll get out of your way. Smack. Scarlett slammed her hand on the table. I've told you 100 times. I haven't cheated. What do I have to do to make you believe me? I nodded. Oh. I believe you. I know you haven't actually done anything to cheat on me. Not yet. Then why are you doing this? I looked her dead in the eye. Because you feel tainted to me now. You bought your secretary $1 million watch. You took him to dinners in my place. You had candlelit dinners with him. You even brought him to your parents' house. You saw every one of his posts. Everyone was telling Jimmy about it. More than one person warned you were getting too close. And you ignored all of them. I'm not an idiot. Scarlett. You were sending me a message. Weren't you? Telling me to step aside so he could take my place. If I was running around with another woman. Bringing her home. Taking her to romantic restaurants. Introducing her to my parents. And then told you we were just friends, what would you think? I tapped the divorce papers again. Just sign it. I have to take our son to the doctor this afternoon. I don't have time to argue. Scarlett froze. staring at me intently. What's wrong with our son? What? You didn't know. Then she remembered. I'd called her 2 days ago to say the boy had a fever. She'd been too busy to deal with it. And then she'd forgotten entirely. Don't worry about it. You don't have to bother with him anymore. Shock crossed her face. What are you saying? That's my son. I said he's coming with me after the divorce. I cut her off. He's a thorn. Stay away from him. He's my son. And if you don't care enough to pay attention, he doesn't need a mother like you. Kale. What is wrong with you? I gave her a cold look. Exactly what it sounds like. My son doesn't need a flighty, unfaithful mother. He doesn't need a mom who flirts with her own secretary. You haven't cheated yet. But you let him defy me. You let him flirt with you. Let him make his little moves. You drew the line today. But who's to say you won't cross it tomorrow? I won't take that bet. Scarlett. I don't gamble with things that matter. It's easier to pull weeds when they're just sprouting than wait till they've choked out everything else. I'll raise our son alone. From now on. He's just my son. You have no part in his life. If you want another kid, have one with someone else. You're still young enough. I told you. You feel tainted now. I don't want you anymore. Let's get divorced. Scarlett. In the end, Scarlett didn't sign the papers. As I walked out of the building, Caleb chased after me. Sir. Wait a second. He stood in front of me, trying to look confident. Can we talk? Talk here. I'm busy. I don't have time for your crap. A shadow passed over his face. Sir. You've got the wrong idea. There's really nothing between Ms. Graham and me. We're just. Stop. I cut him off. If all you've got is that same useless lie, save it. I don't want to hear it. Everyone's got an angle. Caleb. But yours is written all over your face. And it's pathetic. You wear that stupid watch every single day. With every outfit. Just to remind everyone you're special. That you're different from the rest. That Scarlett favors you. You post about your days with her on Instagram. Showing off how close you are. All the little perks no one else gets. You know you don't belong at those events. But you stick around anyway. Testing how far she'll let you go. How much she actually cares. If you didn't have an agenda, you wouldn't be in the break room bragging to your friends about how to seduce your female boss. Caleb's face drained of color. How do you know about that? I sighed. Because I'm still her husband. And they'd much rather tell me what they hear than keep your secrets. So what? You're still divorcing her. Aren't you? Has she signed the papers yet? A smug, confident look flashed in his eyes. She will. Sooner or later. You think if we divorce, you'll just step right in. What do you have to offer her? Money to match hers. Connections to grow her business. A powerful family to back her up. But I look like her dead first love. I can bring back all those good memories for her. I laughed out loud. So you're just a replacement. You know you're a cheap knockoff. Right. She'll get bored of you eventually. If Scarlett's gonna protect you, you better hope she does a good job. I'm not a nice guy. And I don't wait 10 years to get even. I strike fast. He tensed up. What are you gonna do? If you lay a hand on me? Ms. Graham won't let you get away with it. Relax. I just had your little history spread around. You're gonna be a pariah in this whole industry. Sooner or later. Your precious Ms. Graham is gonna feel the heat. She'll transfer you to some dead-end desk job. Or just fire you outright. Like you said, you're just a copy. If you were actually her dead first love, maybe I'd be worried. But you're just a stand-in for her nostalgia. How much do you think a knockoff really matters to her? Oh. And one more thing I forgot to mention. I pulled out my phone and showed him a video. That's your dog. Right. The one you've had for years. With the dog walker you pay. My driver accidentally hit and killed it a little while ago. You'll get the settlement check from him soon. Sorry for your loss. I turned and walked away, leaving Caleb standing alone in front of the building, staring at the ground in grief. I hadn't expected Leo to dig so deep. He'd unearthed Caleb's dirty past from high school. He'd been expelled for assaulting a female teacher. After he got out, he worked as a bottle boy at nightclubs. He met a university chancellor at a club, became her secret lover, and got a college degree in exchange. When that arrangement ended, he got involved with a hiring manager, landed an internal interview at the company, And got the secretary job all because he looked like Scarlett's dead first love. With a resume like that, Leo wasn't about to waste the chance to take him down for his friend. In just a week, Leo and his wife had spread the whole story far and wide. Everyone knew the Graham heiress had hurt her husband over a boy toy and pushed him into divorce. Mr. and Mrs. Graham couldn't ignore it anymore. When they found out I'd filed for divorce, they dragged Scarlett back to the estate and punished her with strict family discipline. The next morning, Caleb showed up to work and got a termination notice from HR. He refused to accept it, yelling and demanding to see Scarlett. She had security throw him out, and took back the $1 million watch while they were at it. That night, Mr. and Mrs. Graham brought Scarlett to my house to apologize and beg for forgiveness. My dad tore into them. Now you know you messed up? Now you come crawling to apologize. Where were you before? She's your daughter. Don't tell me you can't control your own kid. You let some two-bit secretary walk all over my son. Do you have any respect for the Thorne family at all? If it was the actual guy who saved her life, fine. But you let a cheap knockoff strut around and taunt my son. You think we're easy targets. I let my son help out at your company because you don't have a son to run things. Don't you dare treat him like some Livian son-in-law. He can give you business. And he can take it all away. My grandson is a Thorne, not a Graham. He doesn't need your daughter playing mom. If my son wanted, he could give him a new mother every single day. My dad had called out their true intentions, and their faces burned with shame. But for the sake of their grandson and their company, they swallowed their pride and begged me to give Scarlett another chance. To give the Graham family another chance. Too bad. I'd given her a chance and she'd thrown it away. I wasn't giving her another one. Scarlett begged and pleaded for months. When she saw I wasn't budging, she finally agreed and signed the divorce papers. The day we went to the county clerk's office to finalize the divorce, Leo told me what had happened to Caleb. He'd hooked up with another rich woman out of town. But she'd been careless. Her husband found out and broke both of Caleb's legs. After that, no one heard from him again. See, a good first love should stay dead and buried. 6 months flew by. Our son was walking now. He was slow to talk, but he said Dada and Grandpa and Grandma clear as day. When Scarlett's parents heard him mumble Grandma and Grandpa, they cried happy tears. Once they'd had their taste, my dad kicked them out. Mr. Graham flew into a rage, went home, and beat Scarlett so badly she nearly ended up in the hospital. After that, the three of them showed up at my house constantly. They got turned away again and again. But they never stopped trying. I didn't stop the grandparents from visiting. More people loving the kid never hurt anyone. Every time the little boy called them Grandma and Grandpa in his tiny voice, they'd tear into Scarlett all over again. Every time he tried to say Mama, Scarlett broke down. Because I'd told him she wasn't his mom. Not to call her that. Scarlett begged me over and over to get back together. Said our son needed his mother. I said no every time. Don't worry. I'll tell him the truth. Your mom didn't cheat. She just died. In relationships, forgiving once just opens the door for 100 more hurts. I never liked putting my heart in someone else's hands. Like I'd told her before, that was the first and last chance. I didn't need her late apology anymore. Not now.